Three Tunes and a Vibe was the name of the band that my father was in for over 50 years. The band consisted of my dad, Frank R. Valentino, on bass and vocals, my two uncles, Angelo Valentino, who played saxophone or drums, and Vito Marascio, who played guitar, mandolin, and violin. Their friend, Andy Anderson, played the vibraphones or the drums. They began playing together back in 1939, and they had a brief interruption between 1942 and 1945, where they all served during World War II. But once they got home, it was back to those gigs throughout the shore and central areas of New Jersey. These men all had day jobs. My father and Uncle Angelo worked in their family-owned butcher shop. Vito owned a barber shop, and Andy was a food equipment salesman. They would regularly work 10 to 12-hour days before going home to shower and dress for their music jobs. They loaded their instruments in and out of everything from bars, banquet halls, beach clubs, church halls, picnics, weddings, and any other place that hired them. They usually played from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. on Friday and Saturday nights, and would be back to work by 6 the next morning. This is what they had to do so they could do the one thing they truly loved to do, and that was play music. I named this book after the band because I always loved the way that sounded. 3 tunes and a vibe. All 4 guys are now playing a gig up in heaven, and a cool name like this should live on in some form or another. And that's why I named the following book, 3 Tunes and a Vibe. Where there is life, there is music. In this book, I heard the music before I saw the words. Three Tunes and a Vibe. He holds the sleek wooden neck of the 1951 Fender Precision Bass. Strong fingers of gentle hands move like feathers in wind. Another Saturday night, and the band jacket with tuxedo pants becomes his magic cloak beneath the stage lights. The music is breathing again, and he is reborn with each note that he plays and every word that he sings. The love of music burns like fire in his heart and his soul as he feels the groove deep within his bones. 3 Tunes and a Vibe echoes in his dreams as he moves the night upon strings of bass, like lifelines being tossed to the love of his life, reaching out to be saved in a turbulent sea. They made the job. Rushing to the gig after working day jobs that stole time and creativity from musicians who just wanted to play in peace. Songs never come easy for those who shuffle family commitments and cash before they can strum guitars or play drums once they finally get the time. It's never easy to do the thing that you love, but never say no when you have a chance to play. So just get to the job and don't think of anything but the music. They rolled the 1938 Ford, avoiding a stray cow on Route 537 back in 1947, but made the job that hot summer night. And band jackets got a little dirty but not bloody because instruments were packed so tight into the car it saved them with no place to get tossed amongst the amplifiers, guitars, drums, and bass. He remembered his father often asking him, how much was he going to make playing music on many nights? When he replied $10, his dad would often say, here's 12, stay home. Smiling as he left carrying his guitar or bass, knowing it wasn't the money, it's the love of music and the heartfelt need to play that kept the wheels turning. Blue Jersey night. Open windows with no screens, as the feeling of loneliness climbs in like a thief in the night. The band playing last set of show for the summertime crowd in the beachfront bar beneath the apartment on Ocean Avenue. She walked out, and the door closed like an unread book slammed shut, whose pages have yet to be turned. And all that remains is her scent floating in the breeze of the ceiling fan's warm, salty air of the ocean, out beyond the wood of the Long Branch boardwalk. Music rising in the air from the bar downstairs fills the room with blue cloud of sorrow as the singer's voice croons like a dream, but cuts like a knife, slicing through the heart. If the singer only knew how words of a song can wound worse than a blade, he wouldn't sing those love songs on such a lonely, lonely night. Good night from 3 Tunes and a Vibe. See you next week. Take Me Home, Walt. I drive over the back of Walt Whitman, and he dumps me off into the city of brotherly love. The Philadelphia streets always seem to be broken, and the boys, those guys get the contracts to lay new pipe and top it all off in black. The black top was as black as the old lady's dress, kneeling upon the dirt in the graveyard, as she cries out to her son buried in the ground, and she asks the cold gray stone again and again, where is Vietnam? Where is the place that took her boy from home, from these streets of South Philly? He never made it back for macaroni and gravy meat on Sunday afternoons. And she weeps silently, and she can still hear her little neighborhood boy asking her husband, "Hey, why do they call it Veterans Stadium? And what is a veteran, do you know?" Her husband never went to see another game after their son got killed in that jungle on the other side of the world. And the air is hot and humid, and I feel tired and alone even though the streets are crowded. Opera music playing from the doorway of the Italian bakery on the corner, and Mario Lanza's voice echoing in the wind is hauntingly beautiful as it floats in the warm breeze, mixed with the smells of baking bread, pastry, and smoke of the pretzel vendor on the corner. Take me home, Walt, I call out as I chew the warm, moist bread while driving with the windows down and the OJ's Love Train on the radio. I am tired and alone, even though the streets are crowded. Take me back to Jersey, I have paid my toll. Philadelphia showed me a broken heart today, as I felt tears in humid, lonely air drifting. Take me home, I am empty, I am alone, and I heard a man saying that Walt Whitman was some kind of president or army general, and that is why the bridge is named after him. Acoustic Night. The glow of flashing neon jumps off the window like pink lightning. A Nebraska farm girl picks her 6-string and sings out to the washed red brick walls. Her voice like warm wind across the prairie, the single spotlight her rising sun. Traveled roads and dreamers' eyes reflect off shiny wood of guitar, echoing in words, drifting amongst the bar noise and small talk, like a sailboat against the wind. City lights and constant flow of people walking past the window next to small stage on Bleecker Street. She closes her eyes as she sings, thinking of pickup trucks running down country roads, past cornfields, with freight trains passing by farms, late at night, their wheels tapping in silence of small-town America. Taxi cabs race past her thoughts, blowing sour notes off streets of New York City, and her words bounce off noisy room as songs written upon thin blue lines of a notebook lay in her guitar case, like jailed souls waiting to be set free. Morning comes, and she feeds the birds on the ledge, brews coffee, and pours her heart out upon the paper, twirling the pencil on her fingers like a juggler. Walking around the small room with paintings on the walls and Billie Holiday singing from record collection, stacked in corner upon small wooden table she found on Christopher Street. Her thoughts waver along lines of paper, like tightrope walker trying not to fall, as the wind of doubt blows through window of her Greenwich Village apartment on Carmine, invading her peace. She moves throughout the room, watering plants from an old jelly jar, remembering beautiful pastures on warm summer days with smell of wildflowers all around her. Back door slams in her mind. She is home. Morning chores done. Horses fed and watered. Tractor fueled. Mom's note thumbtacked to the kitchen board. Dad's F-250 out front. It's time to go to town. Last chance to dance. Swinging to music of band and moving like waves upon the ocean, outside windows of the beachfront ballroom. If they only knew what was in the winds of change, they would have danced all afternoon and never went home to hear newsman talking about a place called Pearl Harbor. She loved the big band shows broadcasting from New York City. Visions from ears to eyes of a Jersey girl in Asbury Park, dancing with her dreams on cold winter afternoons. Summer was just 6 months away when those big bands would swing their way down the shore on those warm nights of dancing. Her father tapping side of radio and her brother looking at his geography book map and yelling, "It's in Hawaii, it's in Hawaii." Newsman talking as she wondered, where's the music of Count Basie, Artie Shaw, Ella Fitzgerald, Glenn Miller, Jimmy and Tommy Dorsey, Billie Holiday, Frank Sinatra, Benny Goodman, Sarah Vaughan, Bing Crosby, Duke Ellington. Where is the music? What have they done with the music? Walk beyond Mount Sinai. Walking up Madison with hot sun heating blacktop, like the hot bean soup at Athens Diner. I walk the crowded, lonely streets of New York City knowing his days are numbered and running out quick. Humid heat, and I think of him laying in that hospital bed, grasping for every breath of air that drifts his way. Solitary isolation with medicinal chemicals burning the insides out of a body is no way to end such a good life. Guy in old tuxedo shirt sits behind counter of corner store, and I look at him wondering if he is a magician in that lotto machine, his magic lamp. The $2 can of beer is cold, and the girl speaking Spanish smile as I lean against the building with a faded Pepsi-Cola sign painted upon the brick wall. Lowrider Indy cab with flicker lights and mud flaps cruises by. The driver's eyes sweep streets looking for raised hand and cash tip. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band echo in my ears, and the headphone serenade makes me ache for home and peaceful days along the shore. I walk for hours knowing that this is not going to end well. And time ticks. It ticks down in storm of sickness that has stranded him here in a nightmare. I have rode the rails and walked the streets to be with him, and my reflection stares back from store windows with handwritten signs taped to glass behind iron bars and chains. I am walking and the lights of Mount Sinai rise above 101st Street. I have roamed city for hours, trying to walk off fear and anguish, but they tag along like a faithful dog or a vulture hovering and swooping down. The July sun roasting my bones, but cold shivers creep up my spine as I approach the stairs leading to the 6th-floor room where my father is listening to music on cassettes that I made for him from his record collection back home and fighting for life in between each song. Yelping of an ambulance awakes the living, but the loud sound does not bother those who have passed on. They rest in peace as they ride end of light into heaven, where all is forgiven. As angels smile and shuts gates waving, they wave goodbye for now to those left behind. Pay for food next week. Too little, too late, as the old Chevy heads out of Atlantic City in cold night, as Dion and the Belmonts sing from radio. He looks into cracked rearview mirror as bright lights of Atlantic City fade like a child kaleidoscope at dusk. Eyes reflect in nightmares, though he can no longer sleep. And the eyes of man, not of snake dice, are haunting when the 25% vig is due to the fat man from Brooklyn who smiled like a cat when the Jets went down 21-0. Luck turned cold, and his last $100 vanished in wind of roulette wheel spinning when click of balls sounded like a guillotine as it dropped on black. Walk the plank off ship of fools, and chance of survival is thin as ice on salt marsh mud of Jersey swamps. Cold air blows through broken heater core as bald tires hum like hornets in his head. Thank God for Valentino's market. The family got food yesterday. But kids still need new clothes, and his faithful, loving wife truly believes that everything is going to be all right. Three, 30, 40. Notes up to the 12th fret on the second string, including natural sharp and flat notes. Call out the name and fret of each note when playing. Find and play the notes following the second string only. Call out the name and fret of each note when playing. Notes up to the 12th fret on the third string, including sharp, natural, and flat notes. Find and play the notes on the third string only. Saturday night. Small closet beneath basement steps where instruments were stored until music job. Another Saturday night, and the week waited and worked was worth it when true love was only one song away. Fingers soaked in warm salt water to help heal small cuts and nicks from work where blade of a butcher knife and daily life as a tradesman sometimes left its marks. Strings of 1951 Fender Precision bass, tuned and ready for the night to begin. Music job from 9 to 1, where he fell into a trance and found peace within the rhythm of a song. Eyes don't lie when people dance and hands clap at end of night. Music born in blood, but searching for time to hold its hand was never easy. Life happens and dreams got placed on back burner behind childhood of hard labor, World War II, 80-hour work weeks, and family commitments of love. Lack of time is a hammer upon creativity. But for him and the band, Saturday night was worth the price to pay to get lost within their love, the music. Asbury Park, 1971. Orange and blue lights of the Coors frozen custard sign sparkle off bright white counter. Salt air of ocean is heavy as cars cruise on circuit. Dancers sweat in dark as they carve their dreams upon wood of boardwalk. The Sunshine Inn is packed wall to wall. Bruce Springsteen band is on fire, burning house down, but girls from New York City look lost. Another warm beer as locals write their poems in sand beneath the overturned lifeguard boat on beach. Carnival lights sway and breeze as Gypsy Lady pulls curtain closed on another warm summer night in Asbury Park. Sweeping. Life is a stream flowing out to sea, as inspiration drips slowly from eyes of artists, moving brush that flows like a dust cloth along canvas, wiping thoughts into color. Hands of time clap, and days become like confetti blowing in wind, as the sweeping broom moves towards sunset, where it's never easy, as voices of the heart call out, but get swept up in dustpan of fate. Charlie, who works the night shift, always wears headphones and listens to songs that his granddaughter buys for him on iTunes to place on his iPhone. Miles Davis at night keeps him in company while sweeping the hallways in his peaceful tranquility of aloneness. The wisdom of age teaches one to take life as it comes, and days all get washed and blended like clothes tumbling in a dryer, where wrinkles usually work out, and if not, knowing that sometimes things get kind of blue, just like Miles says, with that beautiful lonely horn. Red Bank, Thursday. Mist and air rising upon incoming tide of Navesink, and coffee house door is opened to the warm day, filling air with music of Carole King from speakers. It's in the streets and look of the old restored buildings. Somebody cares. Like a lover's kiss, somebody cares. Walking down Mama Street, tin ceilings of stores reflect years of another era. Students working in studios of Red Bank Catholic High School's Arts Center sit in an old jail building that has been beautifully repurposed for creative dreams, as Penny Lane plays from art teacher's iPhone. Carpenters restore homes on Maple, and over on Linden Place, Emily paints the house, as her dog Max sleeps on porch, listening to Cat Stevens. On West Side, antique shops sell pieces of the past, and Two River Theater sits near a railroad, where old factory is reborn in shops of hand-hewed wood beams, industrial architecture, as Springsteen sings Downbound Train from ceiling speakers hanging off old steam pipes. Mexican restaurants and shops open doors in bright colors of hope, where American dreams are alive, with Alejandro Escovedo singing Always a Friend on radio in Cafe of Juanito's Bakery. Across street, the old restored train station is hub of commuters and visitors. Molly Pitcher sits elegant above river, and Count Basie would love his restored theater. Southside Johnny drifts in air from back screen door of restaurant kitchen, as warm breeze and aromas mix with music as the town gets ready for the evening. St. James smiles down upon Broad Street as choir sings Ave Maria from beautiful stained glass windows. It's in the streets. You can smell it in the sawdust of restoration and renovation and hear it in the wind of music playing. Somebody cares. Like a lover's kiss. Somebody cares. Dust to dust. Amazing grace in the wind. Man in wrinkled black suit lights up another lucky and wipes face in morning heat. Red bandana is damp with sweat and stained with tears. It gets pushed back into pocket of Sunday suit on Wednesday morning. Lonely gravel road, Hot wind and gray stone at 8 a.m. As preacher kicks dirt, looks up to dry empty sky while closing book like a door shutting on another life, another time. Wilted daisies tossed to earth as pickup truck pulls away slowly in cloud of dry dust, rising. Laundry day. Trying to sort it all out like piles of laundry upon the floor. Feelings get washed but still remain the same, like clothes hanging out on the line in summer breeze. Freight train of thought is traveling into places along back roads of imagination. Whistle blows but wrong time is listed on your schedule of life, so you sit back watching cars roll on down the rails. Wildflowers still grow in dreams, but must be trimmed back from the gate. Tangled up in blue from radio on kitchen counter, as sun sets and the boots coated in dust from trails that led you to her arms are taken off at front door. Mother and child sleeping in knotty pine room of old house, and sounds of sleep is music in wind, and songs bring you back to a place that you've never been, but now live in. And now knowing that love equals peace. Where is Crazy Love? Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway sing Where is the Love from speakers of Outdoor Cafe on McDougal Street. As girl in long skirt, the colors of a tropical garden, won't look at him as he tries to kiss her. She saw him looking at waitress, and that was the end of the evening for the table of two beneath warm summer sky and umbrella with electric candles. If they sit back down and listen to Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga duet on Cafe's playlist singing I Can't Give You Anything But Love, maybe she would give him a break and hear his words about the guy she was talking with a little too long last week at the street fair on 10th when he sold her that leather bracelet and held her hand a little too long as he was fitting it upon her wrist. Albanian pizza man throws frisbee dough in air as mist of flour floats down like snow upon marble workbench. The $5 slice is lined up like cards of old men playing at the table in back, drinking espresso, and ignoring the whole world beyond the red and white tablecloth at their table. The guitarist over on South 7th, who lost 2 fingers in Iraq, plays like Django Reinhardt. The money thrown into the orange Home Depot bucket helps out because the VA cut his benefits again, and he fell in love with a dancer, so they now have to live in New York City, where rent is 4 times higher than upstate. But love makes you do crazy things, and when it's finally found, you take it. How about this song, he says, Crazy by Patsy Cline, written by Willie Nelson back in 1961. It's a beautiful song from the heart. Please listen. Not looking but found. Always going someplace and all roads end up the same place, but still they turn towards the rising sun because that is where it's warm. It's like looking for a 4-leaf clover and finally finding one by chance, growing from a crack in a crowded city sidewalk. 2 people meet like ships upon a vast sea of coincidence, colliding in a place neither knew existed. Believing in karma is easy when the melody of Jimmy Webb songs played right after Southside Johnny singing The Fever at 4 a.m. in Little Steven's underground garage. The lady on the 11 o'clock news said that Bruno Mars must have been weaned on Jackie Wilson music and watched the way he danced. Amy Winehouse sang Heart and Soul before they fell asleep last night. Full circles have no beginning or end but still meet in the middle. It's like a song stuck in the head all day until seeing her eyes through the crowd realizing that it was in the music, but all he had to do was listen. Rusted fruit. Cops race up and down streets. Their sirens and flashing lights get thrown into the circus of the hot summer night in the Bronx. Yankees 9-2 at Stadium, and Strawberry hit 3 home runs. His last shot about 415 feet. Now that's about $4,000 per foot if he makes 1.3 a year. Truck with fresh fruit sign parked on corner has a flat, and the tomatoes, bananas, pineapples, and melons painted upon its side are rusted. A long gouge cuts through the fruit, and the rust is not the color of rust, but more like the color of a bad dream, or what the colors of a broken heart must look like. Fire hydrant water spits out like a long, clear tongue, reaching down to lick the streets, as Ao Como Va blasts from boombox sitting upon parked car. Opened doorway and dim glow of lone light bulb illuminates hallway, and the stairwell that rises above sidewalk, like steps going up into lonely dream, as Santana's guitar echoes in the warm night. Trying to make sense out of the senseless, trying to make love to the loveless, and trying to understand the unthinkable. It's just another night in the Bronx, the cop says, as he tags the body bag and sips cool iced tea from bottle with colorful tropical fruit drawn upon its yellow label. Gato Barbieri's sax wails out caliente from speakers of a car cruising beneath streetlights that glow oddly bright like strange amber moonbeams. Pistoleros lean against the world with hands in pockets of their hang-down shorts and kick-your-ass smiles upon their faces, with eyes that say, just keep moving, as they watch it all go by in the warm, warm night. "18 Wheels in Guthrie. I feel the damp cold of refrigerated walk-in coolers and freezers of commissary food market creeping into my bones at 5 a.m. There's 44,000 pounds waiting at the loading dock as truck sits in 9-degree February dawn. Trucker from Colorado has Woody Guthrie songs playing from dashboard stereo hooked up to studio speakers that he bought at a Nashville truck stop. The guitar and words echo off the heart, off the soul, and off the cold stainless steel floor of the tractor trailer. 3 days of snow in Kansas and 14 years of hard time in Oklahoma, he kicks ice off cowboy boots in Jersey. Hot coffee, and he's not bound for glory. He's bound for Hunts Point Market to get load for return trip back out west. The big diesel winds up while 18 wheels begin to crunch and roll upon frozen blacktop as Woody sings and sun rises in cold winter sky, reflecting on the big truck's bumper sticker that reads, "A good song reminds us of what we're fighting for." Pete Seeger. Stand-up bass. Cadillac fins and sharkskin suits, with juke joint smoke drifting in shafts of stage lights, shining like cat's eyes in the dark. Highballs and beer bottles on tables next to bar stools, with people staring and reflecting off drink ice, like curved mirrors on funhouse walls. Neon lights flash and ladies in tight dresses sway to music, as musicians do their work upon the small stage above dance floor. Saxman blows his soul into the night as band kicks in, rolling like freight train running down rails. Rhythm section drives night when it all comes together, where the bass and drums groove so tight they breathe as one. Heartbeat of band reaches the place where their eyes all meet, then close just before walking into the fire. Just around the corner. Day begins in city As Carnival opens with electric numbers sliding along screens, telling who's got what in the fast-paced deals. Stocks and bonds rise and fall like batting averages of sandlot teams in summer, where kids imitate their favorite pros and swing for the fence with every pitch. He looks up from the sidewalk, rattling can for spare change, or maybe a floating dollar from passing hand. Eyes are like windows, and no one wants to look into another person's soul, so most people just walk past. Gazing ahead, they don't glance into the abyss of a man who obviously took a wrong turn and never got back. He looks around and feels his empty stomach and lonely teardrops as he hears a lady tell her friend that they should move those people away. He softly says, "No need to judge, miss." He already knows that he is one of those people who need no thermometer to know if it's cold, no hand out of window to feel the rain, and no gaze at the sky to see the snow. There's no need to judge, miss, because he already knows that he sits where other people place their feet and spit their used saliva, and sleeps and dreams upon bed of old newspaper. No need to judge, he has already been convicted by life, who showed no mercy as his judge, jury, and hangman. Homeless vagabond or bum, whose riches have turned to rags and fears to reality, all kneel at the altar of despair, so harsh words not needed. Just thank God that most of us turned away from any wrong road that we may have taken at some time in our life, but pulled off before getting lost. Les Miserables is playing in New York City tonight. Just look around the corner. The show is for free. Melting walls. Let it go with the outgoing tide of emotion raging like a hurricane blowing through the head. Banging of doors and shutters in the mind are much too loud, and the heart cannot hear itself breaking. Searching a symphony of sounds and clouds of music never easy when guitar strings feel like noose ropes wrapped around the throat. Singing to walls built around life is like trying to hear a voice in a storm, as ice on fire melts, leaving words upon pages, laying in puddles of confusion. Old rivers run through veins flowing from another time, drifting downstream, floating upon record albums on the shelf. With pencil in hand and pick in mouth, thoughts get thrown down like nails in cross-tie beams of a bridge being built above a waterfall, where words of James Taylor, Marvin Gaye, Jim Croce, Bob Dylan, Smokey Robinson, Joni Mitchell, Stevie Wonder, Springsteen, Sly Stone, Simon and Garfunkel, Joan Baez, Clapton, George Harrison, Laura Nyro, The Band, Van Morrison, Lennon and McCartney, all fall from stacks of vinyl, tumbling down and drifting way out of reach. Before the banker's hour. Calling his name from across the yard, she runs beneath the clothesline, with laundry hanging limp in humid Florida heat. Up wooden staircase on side of house, above the boatyard with airboats tied to the dock in Everglade swamp. The pink Formica table with half bottle of bourbon sitting on center plate like amber blood instead of a bouquet of flowers. It's another day on wrong side of town, and she begs him not to go. With faint sounds of Buddy Holly mixing with static from plastic radio on kitchen counter beneath the half-opened cracked jalousie windows. He sits with a silver pistol tucked between his white t-shirt and brown Dickie work pants as he looks past her eyes and tells her in hushed, sorry words that he's got no other choice. He has no other choice. Garage door. Strumming 6 strings, reaching for sounds of songs that played from WMCA radio in New York City. Good guys spun vinyl like magic wheels of travelers beyond the bedrooms, cars, and garages of teenage dreamers. Another band and the British invasion sold more guitars on Monday after TVs got turned to Ed Sullivan on Sunday nights. And the glowing tubes of amplifiers dimly shined in shadows of fluorescent shop lights in garages and basements when after-school practices turned into late-night jam sessions. Those few who worked the blisters into calluses and hours into years drove those visions into places of no return. Life collides in music where days turn into nights and nights into decades. Nap time. Dancing around questions like the Irish step dancers on Channel 13 that we saw last Friday night. So many things going on at once, and the pounding rhythm music moves like water flowing out to sea in that drain pipe by the beach. Maybe it was all those great songs and different types of music rather than nursery rhymes playing on our house during the days when he was a baby. Four Seasons, Beatles, Rascals, Clapton, Four Tops, Temptations, Mountain, jazz, country, big band, and folk stuff is why he never slept at night, because all those songs told him that's when the fun is. Parked beneath Willow Tree by Rec Pond and Spring Lake, napping in car with music softly playing from dashboard jukebox. Love like branches of a willow bends a little more with each passing storm and each passing year, as instincts pass down from one generation to the next, search for their own song. Reaching again. Morning mist that screen door cannot hide, once it's opened to light of new day, where all is forgiven upon the finger of dawn. She sang her songs, but walls had no echo of clapping hands off the washed red bricks beyond stage lights. Gazing into unfilled cup of time that still feels so good in her hands as she digs deep, staring ahead while moving on to next horizon. She jumped in with both feet years ago, after hearing Aretha Franklin paint the world with her beautiful voice, then listening to Blood, Sweat, and Tears ache I Love You More Than You'll Ever Know, realizing that a song can take you within another place and another time. All those years upon the small stage that has become her boat, sailing and searching for home in hearts of strangers, and trying to find the right key upon an oval full ring to unlock a treasure chest buried deep within the sands of time. Walls and ceilings in the maze of life continually need to be repainted, and music is the brush to spread some color upon all those lonely days and nights. Hold the note. Play it by ear, and you'll never need to search for the right groove when the mood hits. Hours float like fog of cigarette smoke rising in cloud of lights, where men knew their days had numbers on them. It's Saturday night, 1943, and the fat man tells soldiers he can't hire them because the band has 2 black guys in it. So they move on down another Georgia road to a place where a sax man can blow his horn and the drummer's beat knows no color. It's a hot night, and the band plays as girls dance with GIs before they get shipped out to hell. Music soothes the wild beast of time, and night goes quick, knowing that could be the last one they may ever see in the States again, now that their numbers have been called. Couples dance and men hold women tight as if their bodies are lifelines, and tomorrow is a raging sea in which they are all drowning. They hold tight before they go to places where courage, fear, life, and death all shake hands. They hold tight before they will fight in mud, sand, mountains, and seas, dreaming of home. They hold tight, knowing their lives will never be the same once they enter foreign lands of war, where many of them will write some of the most dramatic and heartfelt words ever put on paper in their letters home. They write knowing that those words may be the last ones they will ever say to their loved ones again. So they pour their hearts out upon paper, placing them in hands of fate, hoping an angel's kiss will awake them in the morning of a new day, telling them it's not their time and to go back home. Saltwater taffy in winter. Paper faded pale blue, like beach towel left out in summer sun. July returns in January upon the note of a snack bar napkin from beach, with scent of copper tone oil still lingering as winter covers the shore. Waves pound beach, and cold days seem to have no sun when those summer songs play on the radio, with windows rolled up and heater on. Wood of boardwalk reflects gray sky beneath ice, and the colorful painted signs of clowns, kiddie rides, and game booths are peeling and falling, like frozen confetti drifting down. My sisters and I, with the DeLissa kids, take Coast City bus from Long Branch to Asbury Park in the 1960s, during cold winter weekends, where we would ride the carousel in the casino and ice skate at the indoor rink above the beach. Over in the Palace Amusements, the Funhouse, Tunnel of Love, and bumper cars opened on weekends only, when Mr. Peanut stood in a walkway of Convention Hall, next to the shop that sold saltwater taffy in winter, when the summer seemed so far away, as the cold winds off the ocean rattled the old doors. Midnight tea. Church doors locked to cold night. He holds the warm cup of tea in his fingerless gloves as steam rises like smoke from the priest's incense thurible. Eyelids move slow in 9 degrees, with wind cutting through layers of old clothes like frozen nails being driven into skin. He shuffles past the front steps in old work boots with no laces, and his empty stomach makes him too tired to think about pain of loneliness. He feels as if a curtain has been pulled down upon any former life that he may once have had, and night is an empty but cover of darkness, a friend, as side door of church unlocked by priest opens, at midnight tea and dinner awaits. Boiler pipes hiss in warm room as soft music from radio next to bed and corner by table, with food, warm pot of tea, and cookies on colorful plate. He stares in disbelief, hearing an old song playing from radio, remembering his mother's voice singing it to him when he was a child, and the love that she gave him in their peaceful nights together with the beautiful bedtime song. Fill it up. Ford F-250, and there ain't no substitute for a V8 when a heavy load got to get hauled. Dusty road in California desert with tumbleweed floating like ghosts in wind, reaching out to hold hands of migrant workers for the long ride to work site. 2 pump station on edge of town with empty old Coke machine that only takes bottles, not cans, and deliveries only come once a week. Jimi Hendrix on radio, but no angel is out in the hot sun today, only a mirage and windshield and 2-hour drive ahead as gas pours and bell rings and silent heat behind the magical lonely guitar echoing from heaven. Summer of Stars. Muscle cars cruising circuit, and she rolled dice, but they didn't fall off rearview mirror. So boys in the band never took break that night because bar owner told them to keep the crowd dancing and drinking in July heat. Saddle shoes got kicked off once final bell rang, and those prom gowns got tossed in back of closet. It was Lenny Welsh before any of those other guys started singing in the beachfront bars of Asbury Park. And no one believed it when Convention Hall opened its doors to rock and roll on hot summer nights. All the big names rolled into town because Mo Septi's Summer of Stars didn't twinkle, but burned the house down once hinges came off doors and cars got parked out on lovers' lanes down by the beach. Nights don't fade away once the genie gets let out of the bottle in the shape of guitars, drums, and B3s. Moms told daughters, don't trust those boys in the band. They'll slam the front door shut with a song and then bring you back home smiling in a dream. Four Seasons in Autumn. Headlights on back roads down by a river where the bright moon shined and she had her red dress on. The old tree swing swung above water like a long pendulum, hypnotizing days into nights as couples danced in cool breeze of October night. Foreign cars drove on movie screens as secret agent man in suit chased girl in bikini that tried to cut his throat with a razor blade hidden inside her top. Russian missiles in Cuba had nothing to do with American troubadours cruising streets of small towns in souped-up cars from the 1950s. Kids in school hid beneath desks, and 1962 Sears catalog sold a dollhouse with bomb shelter included. Days of innocence drifted away like the smell of burning leaves in autumn as days got long and nights got quiet. Music and wind as the new trail riders rode out on the range of opened roads. That 57 Bel Air shined in sunset of 62 when Sherry moved nice and easy at the twist party where band played as they danced the night away. "2:53 a.m. Freight train howling awakes the silence of a cold winter night. Like a wolf's cry it whines as iron horse sings along rails in lonely dark. Restless quiet sleep with Scotty Moore's guitar riding Mystery Train with Elvis on bedside radio. Dreams fade away in the distant dark, heading down steel tracks that echo in deep dark night. Heat wave. Wooden screen door slams and its loose joints and rusted tin kick plate rattle against the hot, dry wind of Midwest plains in August. Patsy Cline's voice rising from kitchen radio in drought dust as ceiling fan cuts the warm air. Scent of perfumed sweat cleans the thirsty breeze blowing through the window, moving curtain like a surrender flag in Battle of the Heart. Her yellow sundress clings in sweat as she moves from the sink with water running down slow. She wipes her face and gazes out of the shadowed screen, waiting for him to get back from town. Distant dust rises from wheels on dry dirt, and her loneliness begins to drift away as Patsy's singing sweet dreams and squeak of truck's door opening. in the distance. World Champ Circus. Clown Prince getting ready for a Cinderella Man in Asbury Park, 1935. Why train for a fight when you can wrestle your brother and a bear, even if your name is Bear? World Championship belt wrapped around circus on beach with jokers, strongmen, clowns, jugglers, and beautiful women. Sparring partner Dynamite Jackson walking down Springwood Avenue in his yellow linen suit to Valentino's market for 2-inch porterhouse steaks to take to the pretty lady's house tonight. His gloves hanging in locker. No boxing today. Champ needs day off. So the journeyman since 1927, with 42 wins of quickness and power, hired to make sure that Max had to work, not just spar to get ready for the challenger, was out for a walk as the champ slept in again. Dancing in ring during day and in nightclubs at night, having fun with bands playing in Asbury Park, took its toll on the champ when he hit the ring in New York City, June 13th, 1935. Cinderella Man James J. Braddock found his fortune in the tired legs and stunned face of overconfidence as Max walked away in disbelief. Miami Night, 1985. Dancing in light of neon moon, with blue umbrellas and pink flamingos that are painted upon the Art Deco walls of hotel back in 1959, when she twirled in tropical colors of her flowing skirt. Sounds of Cuba drifted in wind as guitar players' fingers moved along strings like a hand wiping tears of loneliness from her face. Havana homes stolen in night, and 90 miles is a world away when families are locked in a nightmare. Years that turned into decades, waiting for hugs and kisses, have turned warm nights into cold, lonely days, while door stays locked to the tropical past. She said she liked the music of local band Miami Sound Machine. It has a great beat, even if 1985 is a long way from those days back home. Cuban rhythms always move the soul because it's in the blood, and freedom is a candle flame in dark. Maybe music will light the wick. So let's dance, and maybe one day. Turn it up again. Another day in paradise on the boulevard of confusion. Technology keeps updating, but nothing ever seems real. Sinatra would have gotten pissed off if he heard auto-tuned voices in a world of music that's gone insane. Business is business, but how can you reap the harvest with no new quality seeds being planted? When the latest boy idol looked up and asked who Sam Cooke and Bobby Darin were, the stunned producer shook his head in anguish. Has it gone so far so fast that even music has become victim, not savior? 100 years ago, in 1918, only 5% of farmers even owned a tractor in USA. But today we need to know everything in drop of a finger. The world has become one big show and tell session that makes no sense, and even the baker stopped baking his best-selling delicious $1.50 crumb buns because customers only came in to buy them and not the $7 cannoli, and he wonders why business is going down the tank. "14th Street Dawn, July 2nd, 1985. Listening to the Righteous Brothers as the Ford van runs through Holland Tunnel over to the 14th Street meat markets. The meatpacking plant with 4-inch thick doors and sliced clear plastic curtains that enter into the white tiled rooms that are cold as winter on this hot July morning. The hooker standing on the corner is wearing a poncho, and she waves down truckers from Kansas hauling beef from Colorado. It's love at first sight, 4 a.m. 2 shots of vodka, and Louis in the white butcher coat, with pencil balancing on his ear, slides knife into sheath upon hip. Summertime, and meat grinders pound out burgers, as butchers sing along with Billy Joel from radio, hanging off the meat hook on the wall. 34 degrees, and words float in cold mist as meat rolls by on rails and forklifts, while gleaming knives slice through noisy wind of huge refrigeration fans, blowing and hissing like a cold front from hell. Sun rising with James Brown and the Famous Flames playing from boombox out on the loading dock, as Richie and Harold hustle and sell tickets for their church fundraiser. If you don't buy one, your truck won't get loaded until rush hour. But if you hand over $10, you'll be out in 5 minutes. The church is their pockets, and the fundraiser is a split of the cash. Street vendor breakfast of hot pretzels, bagels, and coffee sit on dashboard. 700 pounds overloaded in back of van, as Jimmy Street smokes a joint and drinks a cold beer with Sam and Dave blasting from radio, driving down Jersey Turnpike at 5:15 a.m. Connected by strings. He's gone, still I dreamt that we spoke that night. But it was only the magic of music and big band songs playing on radio. Stan Kenton, Count Basie, Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington, Harry James, Artie Shaw, Jimmy Dorsey, Glenn Miller, Nat King Cole, Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, and his old friend and former bandmate from New Jersey, Nelson Riddle. For some strange reason, I remember mixing morphine with fruit punch and freezing it in ice trays so that cubes could drip down upon his lips because he could no longer swallow. Yet, within the torture chamber of illness, he still sang along with his favorite songs on the old stereo in corner of the room. Music played 24 hours a day as he rested at home back in 1989, while his 71 years of life strangled in the vicious hands of leukemia. Music filled the room, and his fingers moved playing bass lines in a place far from all the suffering and pain. After he passed away, I stored his old 51 Fender Precision bass beneath my bed, for comfort or for memories, like ones on Sundays at the beach, when he told me waves are like time. They come and go, bringing new things every day. I awoke in silence of night to the sound of our 3-year-old son strumming strings of his grandfather's instrument, searching his own instincts in flow of music that passed from one generation to next. And I thought of the waves. New Jersey Coastline Train. Hammond B3 being pushed down Bleecker Street in snowstorm of 2010. It's another night in the village as boys from Jersey carve their names upon streets of New York City. Pizzeria slices and cold cans of Pabst Blue Ribbon out back with George, Jerry, and Scott. Beneath cafe lights hanging from building, where 2-bedroom rent went from $300 to $3,800 a month, soon as Betty the rent control queen died last month. Kenny's Castaway, Cafe Wah, and Bitter End stages are music shrines. Over in the East Village at Webster Hall, Sister Sparrow and the Dirty Birds shake and moan night away because Brothers Moving bought smoke from the wrong guy. OTB band leaves it all on stage. They already cut their teeth down in beachfront bars of Jersey, where guillotines drop quick on musicians. But New York City is New York City, and there ain't nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. So have another beer and just enjoy the show. Sponge of Time. Standing upon wooden magic carpet of boardwalk during nor'easter, watching waves the size of buildings pound the beach and flood onto streets. Visiting Mother Nature at the edge of her vast ancient home is a good way to start the day and wipe off any dust of things clouding the mind. Silence in morning just before dawn, when sunrise at beach is 3 shades of red on horizon after storm, when God has wiped slate clean once again. Breathe deep and listen to words of songs playing in ears, knowing that curiosity is a pickaxe, dreams a shovel, and love the whisk broom that sweeps up debris of life. Digging into words like digging into beach and hitting old buried pilings as What's Going On plays in earbuds, wondering if Marvin Gaye sharpened his number 2 pencil with shards of a shattered crystal ball when those words and music fell upon paper. Passion is the sponge to wipe the window of life, and when squeezed, all that remains is the search for peace of mind in the morning light. River Edge Woods. Walking through woods, I find the silence in my soul, listening to music of trees, as moth wings cast shadows upon quiet mist of evening light. Lonely hunger inside steps of people who search for peace in unsettled times we now live, and the mule of life gets another dusty pack thrown upon its back while moving down the road. People who have to search for the child within themselves that has become lost and waiting to laugh again, better hurry up before it's too late. The fortunate few look into morning mirror, realizing it is a gift when feet hit ground upon a new day. Kneeling at altar of fallen tree and reading blue sky prayers, father, child, and faithful dog sit in silent church beneath green leaf dome. Angels cast shadows on warm autumn evening as preacher dips heads in river where baptismal waters are poured upon saints and sinners, listening to Stevie Wonder sing, Have a Talk with God. Untitled Song. Defenses go down as curtain goes up on the heart and soul, where words are spoken but nothing is said, and answers given with no questions asked. No rainbow after rain, no snowman after snow, and the tooth fairy doesn't come to this part of town. Ghetto, barrio, or slum, all the same to a child's eyes, all the same in a child's heart, as he sits on front stoop, singing Yellow Submarine. Front yard of broken asphalt, broken glass, broken dreams. The sun don't shine through soot-stained windows, no matter how sunny the day. Goodnight kiss muffled by echoes in hallway, and city streets really never sleep. There's no mountains or streams, only stairwells and leaking water pipes. Love, rage, hope, and dreams all collide on stage as life becomes an unwritten script for show where curtain never goes down upon children's eyes, telling stories that live in the heart. Colorblind, 1943. Night off from Finney Army Hospital. Musician soldiers dressed in civvies for Saturday night gig in Georgia heat unload their instruments from back of 1934 Dodge. Girls dressed up to knock down hearts of GIs from base, here to dance and breathe some freedom in arms of new love before night drifts away in wind of perfumed sweat. A band of 5, an Italian guy from Jersey, 2 Jewish guys from New York City, 2 local black guys from Thomasville, Georgia. They have to go to friendly part of town to play their music and keep crowd dancing and drinking, so club owner has them back next week if they don't get orders to be shipped out. Colorblind musicians never see anything but the music and groove of songs played together, where 5 equals 1. October 19th. Turning at crossroads, coming home to a place she felt she never knew, while her body stirred with feelings, fragile as dry autumn leaves and wind. She waited for right time, but time is a flowing ocean for the young, a fast-moving river for the middle age, and a dry riverbed for the old. Her hourglass has always had beach sand flowing through time. She was born with breeze of ocean blowing outside her window. The Long Branch house sits like so many memories in shade of trees, old as the girl who once sat on front porch, holding transistor radio and singing along with summer songs from the Rascals, Temptations, Four Tops, Kinks, Critters, Beach Boys, Beatles, Stones, The Association, Supremes, Four Seasons, Righteous Brothers, Sonny and Cher, The Doors, Mamas and Papas, Sly and the Family Stone, Lovin' Spoonful, Turtles, Animals. Painter's Place shakes upon house as smell of cedar sawdust drifts in wind. Curtains flap in opened windows with teapot whistling and table set for 3, waiting as she holds hand of child and walks through front gate, back home. Rather sweat than shiver. 5 a.m. drinking coffee on a Key West dock as winter snow slams Jersey and Stevie Ray Vaughan wakes up crew of the old wooden schooner. Tourists getting ready for a trip, but captain said he wants cash or no sails will go up with the rising sun. Elena from Russia, working early shift at Dockside Cafe, talks to her daughter up in Yale dorm room as she pours coffee while juggling iPhone, milk, and a toasted bagel, as Peter Frampton plays from overhead speakers above the ceiling fan. Was up before roosters, and last night saw a girl in an Eagle shirt throw a beer in the face of a guy wearing a Giants hat at the Green Parrot. There was a band from Ohio playing set of Steve Miller songs. Didn't leave Hog's Breath Saloon till 1 a.m., was drinking beers with Oslam, Joe, and Jackie, so we stopped by the Smoking Tuna to watch a guy sing Kid Rock songs. Captain's Corner bustling at 7 a.m. as George brushes coats of varnish on storefront counter of repurposed wood, while Leslie and Jen do 101 things on such a busy morning at the dive center. Was up in Key Largo, and Jake was happy that Lewis found gold buried in lagoon down road from Quiancet's dive shop. Kids are writing, but Chrissy has no time to read in school, so she takes words home and she falls asleep as imagery of fifth graders' minds drift inside her tired teacher dreams. He was looking for pulled pork at 7 a.m., but the Cuban chef who was smoking reefer said no one cares if fishermen are late for the market. Girls dancing to Doobie Brothers on bar's old jukebox. So what's the rush? Because bikinis never made it to the beach until 1946. So how did she keep cool on the overseas highway driving to Key West? Walked another 13 miles today, with playlist in ears and 27,000 steps on feet. But Key's Coffee Company makes the best omelets in town, so there was no need to stop until band woke up at 2 p.m. Sitting on wall with the reason that I am here at Southernmost Church, eating rice in cartons from China Garden West, knowing that fortune cookie dreams do come true. Walking past rainbows and roosters, a 67 Cadillac convertible drives down street, passing bars, restaurants, and old homes, with locals relaxing on front porches and watching the show go by. It's amazing how many people know Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes on the corner of Crossroads, where Route 1 north and south begin and end on pole with signs pointing in both directions in the warm sunlight. Sailing crews from racing boats drinking shots and beers because offshore winds shut down Cup Race today. So it's off to Hog's Breath Saloon to hang and watch Southpaw Kid and his band from Bloomington, Illinois. There's magic in the air as he goes into a trance on guitar, traveling roads way beyond his years in shadow of moonlight, whispering that he'd rather sweat than shiver as Dan Hogg smiles and drinks another bud, while Matthew Curry Band rips through Key West, burning down the night and shaking dust off the souls. Running together. Moving from show to show as towns collide in truck stops and stage lights off interstates, where traffic lines lay on roads like silent ghosts. Strumming chords and looking for a song in memories, road dust, or headlight beams, slicing the cold, lonely night in half, like scissors cutting darkness in two. Trying to find right words to echo off music is like opening a door and watching inner thoughts become disassembled, like an old engine in backyard of neighborhood kid who rebuilds old cars and motorcycles. Unfinished parts lay on ground in rusted piles, and only he knows what pieces go where as he walks out of garage, wiping his greasy hands on t-shirt before reaching out to shake. America is smaller than most people think when you eat breakfast in Illinois and pre-show dinner in Arkansas. Tires hum like bees in a dream, and when a pillow of window glass gets warm in setting sun, you know you're heading south. Point and Pray, 1998. Afternoon at Cassidy's Culling Tree Farm, where horses run across winter fields, the color of copper and pale light. Chestnut mare snuggles her face as Brian and Brendan hold a dream come true. Boys stand in the middle of colt herd as they nuzzle their heads against their bodies in cold February wind. Children, horses, and old farms are meant to be together on such a beautiful day. 4 songs for $1 on jukebox at Old Diner on Route 33. The Eagles, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, Steve Miller, Chuck Berry, Allman Brothers, Mountain, Johnny Rivers, The Band, Cream, Drifters, Johnny Cash, Hollies, Doobie Brothers, Chicago, Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind and Fire, Elton John, Bee Gees, and Hendrix all sing to fathers and sons at lunch. Back at the farm, Brian swinging hammer on roof, with sun setting behind purple clouds, as horses walk towards barn, with 10-year-old boys following and laughing. Sinatra in Long Branch, 2013. Walking along beach at dawn, searching for sea glass as waves wash up, then roll back, like a stage curtain going up and down, up and down. Man walking with dog is wearing headphones and a yellow t-shirt with the words, "I turned 95, printed upon it. He smiles, removing headphones, and tells me that listening to Frank Sinatra takes him back to being young again, and that's a great way to start the day. He says Sinatra met his wife on the beach in Long Branch when they were teenagers on a summer vacation. Counting off the years, 95, long way back, 1918. I wonder if fate is blowing in mist off waves, knowing that my father was born same year, but his days ended here on earth back in 1989. Summer wind, come fly with me, that's life, night and day, all the way, the best is yet to come. A great way to start the day. Flames in the night. Painted clouds on ceiling of Mayfair Theater in Asbury Park. As shiny cars cruising circuit on hot summer night. Rolled up sleeves of guy in dungarees who own that one wedding and funeral suit hanging in closet down pole from his traveling gents car club jacket. Where are those custom cars to be fixed up in driveways with music of Elvis, Dwayne Eddy, Dion, Chuck Berry, Sam Cooke, Eddie Cochran, Jackie Wilson, Gene Vincent, Del Shannon, Gene Pitney, Roy Orbison, Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee Lewis, Fats Domino, Little Richard, Buddy Holly, Everly Brothers, Bo Diddley, and Johnny Cash. Turned wrenches, engines hum, and tuned-up dreams raced in the streets as painted flames on that Chevy sparkled in the night when it passed beneath shining streetlights by beach. Rumbling motor echoing like thunder as children held parents' hands trying to cross street to get on boardwalk for waffles and ice cream. Anchor tattoo on arm wrapped over her shoulder as they drove past with top down and music playing. Spinning vinyl. Vinyl spinning back again like boomerang rock and rollers that continue to return, landing on reminiscent ears, leaving all those young Elvis boys buried in the minors, waiting for big shots upstairs to unlock the doors. Another night on the road as they keep pounding pavement while building fans one at a time, like concrete blocks in a wall where music is the mortar. Trying to avoid hustlers throwing darts at contracts or kissing rings of bandits, collecting cash in back seats of cars when 8 cylinders drove those record labels who used to carry away gold like pillaging pirates. Creating time machines and stage lights, no problem, with $200 seats and dreams of Remember When, singing from tower speakers and loop tracks, spinning those bygone days right back into open arms, open hearts, and opened wallets, wishing to be free once again. In long-gone youth, echoing from rafters of arenas, while new guitars get stuck in traffic jams of now and then, as smiling promoters recycle memories into cash. Long neck bottles. Sax man blowing night away as dancers sweat in Jersey heat, where steam of 40 hours gets blown off out on the dance floor. Humid air gets thrown down in spotlight shafts upon beer bottles and girls in summer clothes, moving like nor'easter winds, swaying and spinning out on the dance floor. Bands hammer out covers of top 40 songs to the note in beachfront bars, and crap gets cut quick when it comes to music down here. So hit it on money or be out of door before first set ends. 50-hour work week in heat has no time for slack when boys and girls come out to dance on Saturday nights. So Tommy James and the Shondells better be dragging the line, and Junior Walker's shotgun better be loaded. Empty pockets of hard-earned cash feel much better when moving against grooves in the warm night. So keep it going till last call, and all those long-neck bottles from ice are drained dry, 'cause that's when pay cash for the gig gets slid across the bar. Captain in booth. Leslie feeding baby chicks at wharf as people look around Key West and wonder how deep the sea really is on a 3-hour boat ride to paradise. Dive boats tied at dock await customers with visions of buried treasure beneath ocean, where a captain and her crew just might make a dream come true today. Another day in booth with cell phone and little notes arranging vacation memories for all the hungry hearts. Things change in a minute, like wind off coast or whims of visitors looking for something that was lost long before they arrived for their day in the sun. Watching from her stool, she shakes her head and wonders how it got so crazy as Barracuda rolls his piano down street to B.O.'s fish wagon. Guy wearing NYU t-shirt asks if the water is really that deep on dive trip and if he has to know how to swim, or does her crew take care of that also? Musicians playing in bars along Duval, where music is fuel for people on a quest in search of another beer and a favorite song. Boys in band are back in town, and nights crash into days this far south, where tourists are 90 miles from Cuba and $590 to Margaritaville. Captain's Corner wakes up early with a never-ending list of work in between teaching, filling air tanks, cleaning, all while juggling fins, wetsuits, snorkels, and masks on Ann Street. There's no need to look around the corner for the captain steering this ship. Just gaze into the sparkle of her blue sky eyes, her knowing smile, and business mind sharp as a knife hanging on hook aboard the Sea Eagle. She's the one holding the chicken feed. West Side hats. Guy in newspaper booth on 7th is wearing Yankees hat and watching soccer game broadcast from Pakistan on laptop perched upon stack of daily newspapers tied in twine. Pretzel guy on 47th in Mets hat jokes with stagehands on break, watching crowds line up for shows, as lady in I Love New York hat asks directions to Times Square. Store on 10th sells frozen yogurt by the ounce, and kids pile colorful toppings on swirls like jewelers' pan scales weighing precious stones. A mom and dad look stunned as lady behind counter in purple beret presses buttons and says, $23.18 please, for 2 cups and a plastic spoon. Girl on 9th in pink knit hat has ears plugged into iPhone that sticks out of back pocket like an old transistor radio from the 1960s. Homeless man sits by doorway of Bank of America holding sign that says, "This land is your land. This land is my land." Woody Guthrie. His Vietnam veteran cap must cut him like a crown of thorns in this land of the free. Midnight Blue. Sunset colors beyond midnight blue of Mustang freedom, where horses run in summer along beaches down by roads that took him to places where dreams drift in the wind. He wondered what was around the bend of a new day, now that the gift was given and a wish upon a star was made while staring at sky above ocean. 65 Mustang running south in sparkling blue of new day, with his fishing poles across back seat and satisfaction blasting from the radio. Summer days of graduation, when the world held doors open for a dreamer, as he walked through and tasted those warm lips of life waiting to be kissed. 5 minutes to beach from old house on Liberty Street, where Sunday dinner for 50 sat at family table. Warm July evening, and the drive to jetty at White Sands Beach was just 5 minutes away, where an 18-year-old could cast his line in water with waves crashing upon rocks and mist of ocean on his face as he looked beyond the horizon in peaceful freedom of youth. Shadows on fire. Windows down with hot wind blowing through sky, like lost souls on fire in shadows of dusk, reflecting red light upon windshield at crossroads. Another day down as fingers turn dial of satellite radio, searching for songs and landing on Otis Redding singing, "I've been loving you too long." So they sit, staring into words. Sound of water slapping shore, with silence of thought hovering above end of daylight, when all they ever wanted was a friend, a lover, a future. Driving slow, knowing that time was running out, and why push the limit when there are no limits posted on the streets in this part of town. Questions hang in distant flash of heat lightning, reminding them when touch in the beginning was like a static flash off carpet, as hand is placed upon doorknob of tomorrow before sun goes down today. River grass sways below clouds as Roy Orbison's voice floats in dreams as love fades away beneath red of sunset fire. Tools. Grabbing onto ropes attached to raft that was built from same wood the instruments were made of. Undertow water and ties that bind are stronger than things unexplained when holding onto lifelines tossed from one generation to next. Hearing Blue Moon from beyond and knowing that music chose him. There was no other choice once he sat behind backbeat of a song and began living between the fenders. Craftsmen working hard at their trades, so the finished products are quality before tools get put away at end of day. Musicians with instruments in hands and songs getting placed into mic, like the baker on Third, sliding rolls into old brick oven, making sure they're perfect before customers are served. Days and nights at workbench, he awoke with poor fools on a road that very few travel. The song is the song, and faces in the crowd know if you don't feel it. So keep tools at hand and always keep eye on the job. Why ask? If instinct is inherent and natural skill a gift, then blood is truly the stream of mysterious answers to questions flowing into the sea of life. When a grandson is living his grandfather's dream, maybe things are just meant to be.